Greetings everyone, and I hope you've all won gold medals in the Paris Olympics for 1/6 scale figure collecting. And welcome back to the channel for another 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking an up-close look at Aug Toys' take on Duke Leto Atreides, aka Oscar Isaac, as he appears in the first part of Denis Villeneuve's planned Dune trilogy, based on the classic epic Frank Herberts Dune books. The review will take the usual format: a quick look at the box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories, and then as usual it will be out with the 267th ruler of Caladan himself for a close-up look, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we get into it, the usual round of shout-outs and background. Firstly, to everyone who supported and subscribed to the channel, a massive thank you, a huge thank you. It really is greatly appreciated. And to those of you watching who haven't subscribed, and I know there's a lot of you out there, come on, dismount the sandworm of indecision and come and join us in the 6-scale siege that is Go Figure. It's cost and pain free, and not only will you be making an old man very happy, which I might add is a reward in itself, but you'll be helping us to keep doing what we're doing here at Go Figure. So mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon, and be sure not to miss any of the content coming up on the channel. And trust me, there's a lot of it, some of which we'll be listing at the end of this review. Also, a huge shout out to William Wang over at One Man's Hobby for sourcing me this figure. You're a gent and a professional, and if it's anything 1/6 scale you're after, check out his website. There will be a link in the description below. So, background. As regulars to the channel will know, I am a huge Dune fan. I have been ever since I read Frank Herberts' books as a youngster, and it took the current reigning master of science fiction cinema, Denis Villeneuve, to bring it to the silver screen in the way it deserved, in my humble opinion. But that's enough of my Arakeen rambling. Onto the box. Let's stop it from spinning and have a quick look at it. Not dissimilar to the Gurney Halleck box that we reviewed recently on the channel. There will be a link to that review at the end of this one. Yeah, it's a simple shoebox design. Relatively straightforward design on the front here. You have got a picture of, now I think this is a stylized picture of Oscar Isaacs himself. I don't think this is actually the figure, but yeah, very bold, very simple. You've got House Atreides in the bottom right hand corner here, 1/6 scale collectible figure. It says Aug Toys here, legendary pictures. Obviously this is a fully licensed product. Dune in the top right hand corner. On the sides it says House Atreides, with a continuation of some of these symbols from the front there. Same on the right hand side. Let's have a look on the bottom. Simply says Duke Leto Atreides, and it does have this rather nice, if the camera's catching it in this light, this sort of almost like topographical lines done in a silver foil to highlight it, which is just, it's just a really nice touch and gives the box a sort of classy feeling. Anything on the top, let's have a quick look. Yeah, same thing again, Duke Leto Atreides, and that same design. Around the back, what have we got? Well, obviously Dune at the top there. It says Duke Leto Atreides. You've got the warnings, you've got the credits, all the relevant information there. Warnings on the left hand side here. Don't piss this figure off, or you might wake up in the middle of the night to find it holding a gum jabbar to your neck, and nobody wants that. But yeah, as I say, very similar to the Gurney Halleck box. We'll just actually take it off the turntable and just undo this on camera. This is a brand new figure. It literally has just landed and gone straight in front of the camera, but we'll have a quick look inside if the top will come off this box. And it's not wanting to cooperate, but there we go. Let's put that top to one side. And as with the Gurney Halleck figure, what you're greeted with when you open the box is this really nice slip cover. Very simple. It's just, well, it's more of an inlay card than a slip cover. It just says Dune across the front here, and you've got this sort of eclipse situation going on and a star field in the back. Aug Toys bottom left hand corner, legendary again in the bottom right, and if you lift this off, you are greeted with the figure underneath, he said confidently, as this piece doesn't want to come out. There we go. We'll just put that to one side, yeah. And you've got the plastic clamshell when you take that slip cover off with the figure underneath it. So there you have it. That's the box. So without further ado, let's get this boy out, let's get the accessories out, and let's dive down onto the table and have a look at everything that he comes with. Okay, so here we are, down on the table, accessories out. Let's have a quick look at everything that comes with the Duke Leto figure. Not a vast amount to go at here, so this shouldn't take too long. We'll start with the hands as we always do. You know me and my hands. Now these are very, very similar to the hands that come with the Gurney Halleck figure. There's a pair already on the figure itself. They're an open palm pair. Then you've got these 3 other sets here, so you've got a total of 8 hands, 4 pairs in total. Let's have a quick look at what we're looking at here, sculpt and paint application wise. We'll grab this one at random. This is a sort of gripping stroke pointing hand. Now, as with the Gurney Halleck figure, the House Atreides armour here is pretty much identical, but yeah, you've got this sort of grey material type sculpt on the hands themselves. You've got this the armour section, the armour plating across the knuckles, which has got some dry brushing on it to give it that depth and that metallic feel. There's some black rivets picked out there near the wrist. There's stitchwork sculpted in, there's creasing in the palms and on the fingers. Overall, yeah, just a very, very high quality. And there's a design in these gloves as well, which is really nice to see that Aug Toys have picked that out. So yeah, and there's silver dry brushing on there as well and some washes. But yeah, overall, very, very good, very, very screen accurate. We'll grab another one at random here. This is a gripping hand, I'm assuming, for the short sword. Same level of paint applications and sculpt there. You've got a gripping hand for the sword. You've got a couple of fisted hands, I believe. Let's take a look. Yeah, you've got 2 fisted hands. As I mentioned, 2 open palm on the figure itself. I think these are actually for holding the binoculars, which we'll look at shortly. And another gripping right or left hand. So you can alternate which hand holds the sword. So yeah, that's the hands. Let's put the hands out the way. What else do you get? Let's take a look at this stand, this sort of diorama stand. Now, very similar to the Halleck figure. In fact, pretty much identical other than the nameplate across the front there. It's one piece of hollow plastic. On the bottom here, it says Dune Aug Toys. Unfortunately, no felt pads on this, so be careful when you're displaying it. It may move around. It's got a huge footprint, so I think that the chances of this shifting around are nominal, but yeah, would have been nice to see some felt pads on the bottom there, but it is what it is. On the top, you've got the same as the Halleck figure. You've got this sort of sand effect, this dune effect on the top, which is really, really nicely done. It's got this sort of tactile feel to it, and it feels like sand. It's been nicely sculpted, and there's paint applications in between the sort of the waveform of the sand itself, some darker paint applications to give it that depth. Yeah, my only minor niggle with this is probably the same that I had with the Halleck figure, is that you've got these 2 indentations here for where the feet go, not dissimilar to what Hot Toys did for a while with some of their Star Wars figures, which sort of restricts you to or well, pushes you towards, shall we say, a museum vanilla pose with this figure. So if you're wanting to go for anything a little bit more dynamic, you're sort of limited. Well, no, you're not limited, because it will still hold its own while stood on here, but it seems like you're being pushed towards this one pose, but you know, it is what it is. On the front here is a metallic nameplate. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's metal. It's cold to the touch, and etched in there you've got Dune, Duke Leto Atreides. Yeah, and that's your stand. Very nice it is too. And as I mentioned before, big footprint, so you're going to need some room in your display for this one. But it comes with a standard issue crotch grabber, simply slots in the hole there. Yeah, and that's your stand, and very nice it is too. So we'll pop that to one side. The only other things we've got to look at, we'll take a look at the short sword. I call it a sword, maybe it's a knife, whatever. But it's all one piece of sculpted plastic, and very nicely done. The blade itself has got a couple of paint applications on here and some dry brushing. There's a silver section here along the edge, which is really nicely done, and then on the back of the knife itself. And then you've got this more gunmetal grey section here, which has got some weathering on it. Not too much though, just to give it that slightly used look. The hilt is black, and it's got these sort of groove sections in it, which have been picked out with some silver dry brushing, if the light will catch that. Yeah, this is quite sharp as well, so take care if you're picking this figure up. We don't want anybody damaging themselves out there. So yep, that's the short sword, and to go with that you get this little clip. Now very straightforward. This clip is actually, it's got some paint applications on it, which is good to see. It could have, Aug Toys could have just left it as a grey plastic clip, but what they have done is they picked out the rivets with black paint, if the light's catching that. and they've also put some silver dry brushing on it as well. But very simply, you hook this onto the belt section, and then the sword stroke knife fits in there. So, but we'll take a look at that when we bring the figure out. So that is your short sword and holder. And finally, and this is perhaps the last thing other than the head sculpt that separates this from the Gurney Halleck figure, are these binoculars that the Duke uses in the first part of Dune. Very, very nicely sculpted these are too. Paint applications, although subdued, are really, really nice on here. You've got several different shades of grey. You've got this almost sort of bronze coloured sections on here. There's silver sections that have been picked out. There's dry brushing on there to give it that slightly weathered look. The detailing is really nice. The screen accuracy is on point, and it looks like they've even put clear plastic lenses in and painted underneath them as well. I'll try and get that closer into camera so you can see that. But yeah, as far as I can tell, the screen accuracy is on point, and the paint applications are really nice. Great little accessory. So there you have it. That's all the bits and pieces that come with your Duke Leto figure. So without further ado, let's bring out the ruler of Caladan himself, get him onto that rather nice stand, onto the turntable, and take an up-close look at him. Okay, so here he is. It's Duke Leto himself, straight out of the box, straight onto the stand, and straight onto the turntable. And first impressions, I have to say, are pretty good indeed. The proportions look spot on. Very similar to the Gurney Halleck figure here. Proportions look absolutely on point. The colours look right. The armour itself looks the right colours and screen accurate and well sculpted. And that head sculpt looks pretty good too. So we'll do what we always do though. We will take an up-close look at him, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's stop him from spinning and get him off this stand and see what this guy's all about. So starting from the bottom, and that crotch grabber wants to come with him, let's take a look at these feet. Pretty much the same story with the Gurney Halleck figure here. Relatively simple design on these boots, all one piece of sculpted plastic and pegged straight into the leg. There's some silver dry brushing on here. The sculpt is nice to give it that sort of leather material type look. There's sole on the bottom of these boots, a grip with some dry brushing as well, which gives it that depth, which is nice to see. Moving up from the shoe itself, the boot itself, you've got this armour plate section, which is actually on the back of the ankle, which continues that same level of paint application and weathering that you see on the rest of the armour, and also those picked out details of the rivets there. This sort of split cut armour section is actually free floating. Well, I say free floating, it's attached by elastic around the back of the ankle. Once again, same level of weathering on there and detail. Black rivets are there as well. Moving up to the undersuit, and now this undersuit is a man-made fabric. I am guessing at a nylon material, but it's different shades and different textures. You've got this sort of olive green section, almost grey, darker around the knee area here, where you've got these knee pads, which are actually held in place by these darker sections. These are plastic and once again painted the same way as the rest of the armour. You've got these ribbed sections below the knees, which are continued into the waist area, which are a darker grey and layered. That's continued around the back with a mixture of textures and so on. The 6-scale stitch work on here is very good. You know me and my OCD regarding stitch work on figures, but it looks like Aug Toys have nailed it here. I will always bang on about how a very, very good figure can be ruined by incorrect scaling on the stitch work. So yeah, good job here from Aug Toys. And that, as I say, those alternating materials are screen accurate and give it that depth. Moving up to the armour. All the armour is painted pretty much in this this same high level of paint application. You've got these greys going on, and there's weathering on there. Moving up, you've got different layered sections. Oh, we didn't cover the articulation on the legs. The legs themselves all are ratcheted and will go up to about just over a 45-degree angle, which is nice to see, and there is some articulation in the hip area. I am not going to stretch that articulation though, because it's going to be limited by these layers of armour. I'm not even going to attempt to try the waist articulation on here, simply because yeah, you run the risk of damaging that armour. Yeah, moving up, and something I did notice as well, and for those of you who've watched my Gurney Halleck review, these two centre sections here, the one on the abdomen and the one on the chest, I didn't think that they were weathered enough. I didn't think that they were dark enough in the centre. It looks like these are. This is far more accurate as far as I can tell with this dry brushing in the centre here being darker. So yeah, props to Aug Toys for that one. Around the back, it's the same story, that multicoloured, multi-layered armour effect. The armour pieces themselves are held in by these, and I'll just lift the arm up at this point so you can see this, are held in by these elasticated sections which thread through over the body and then through the armour. Moving up to the shoulders, now these shoulder pads, if we can get them in shot here, are attached by a combination of Velcro and elastic. So there's movement in there, which is nice to see, and there's detailing on the lapel, if there is such a thing as a lapel on armour. We'll call it the neck section of the armour. There's detailing there, which is obviously the Duke's insignia. I'm not going to push the range of motion in these arms too much because I don't want to damage the armour section on the shoulders, but that undersuit is continued down the arms with those same rib sections at the elbows. Worth noting as well, around the back, you've got that same green section there, that olive green section, which is holding in a plastic elbow pad with the same weathering on there. Moving down to the gauntlets. Now, these are asymmetrical, held on by elastic, as is most of the other armour. The reason they're asymmetrical is on the left-hand wrist, you've got this device here. Now, I'm going to assume that this is the shield generator for creating the force shield, which actually deflects fast-moving objects. But yeah, that's my best guess on that one. I call myself a Dune expert, and I don't even know whether that is correct or not. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments section below if I'm getting that wrong. But yeah, same level of paint applications and weathering on there as well. And these are the other hands that we didn't look at in the accessories section, the open palm ones. Same level of sculpt and detailing on there. So, moving up to the head sculpt, probably the most important part here. Straight away, yeah, absolutely. The likeness is there to Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto. It's a fixed neck head sculpt. Now, I would say exercise caution here. Straight out of the box, there were two foam pads on either side of this collar area of the armour, and I would definitely say exercise caution if you're thinking of picking this figure up, because if you move this head too far in any one direction, I think you're going to risk rubbing along the neck area here and damaging that paintwork. So yeah, maybe exercise a bit of caution there. But overall, the sculpt itself looks pretty much on point to me. I'm very impressed with that. Most certainly, they have captured the likeness of Oscar Isaac there, most definitely. But the skin textures are really nice. I think this light is washing this out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just bring this lighting down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Gives us a better idea here of what we're looking at now. The thing that struck me straight away out of the box is the beard and the hair. It is not the best sculpt I've seen. The beard, to me, although there are individual strands being picked out there, looks, I'm going to say, clumpy, for want of a better expression. It's the right style, it's the right size. They sort of captured the colour right, but I mean, maybe you get a better idea around the back here. Looks lumpy to me. Although the style is right, I think that's just down to the fine detailing. It's not really the paint applications, because the colour around the back here is on point. In actual fact, what I'll do is I will bring in, let's just see if he'll freestand in front of the camera, and I'm going to lower the light over here a little bit as well, because I think we're suffering from a bit of washout here. But let's bring in some photographs at this point and just do a bit of a comparison, if I can find them here. I actually struggled, to be honest with you, finding some pictures of him in this House Atreides armour, because it only features in a relatively few scenes in the film. I think when they first arrive on Arrakis, and then in that sort of pitch battle when the Harkonnens come to take the planet back, the only real times we see this armour. But so there's not that many photos out there. But let me see what I can find here. Probably the best one to compare this head sculpt, and it's difficult here, but this is a good one. If I can get a full frame shot of that one. Now, I know we're looking through two screens here, so it's probably not the ideal solution, but maybe you can see there what I mean about that sort of clumping effect. And also as well, I did notice when looking at these photos, I don't think the paint applications have quite caught the right colours here. There's far more grey in that beard, far more white in that beard, and it's difficult to tell under this light, simply because it's casting shadows. If I could, maybe what I'll do is I'll swap hands here, and we'll try and get him under this white light, because it's a whiter light on the left-hand side here, but there is very little white going on in this head. There is some on top, some very, very slight greying on top, but unfortunately there's none on this beard, although the light might try and tell you otherwise. I think overall they have most certainly captured the likeness of Oscar Isaac very, very well, but we'll bring that shot back in again. But I think for me the hair sculpt is not the best, although the shape is right. It's the fine detail that maybe is slightly out. The colour is most certainly out. I think it would have benefited from a darker overall colour, and then obviously picking out the whites and the greys in the beard and the whites and the greys in the hair as well. But now's probably a good time as well just to look at to compare the armour. Now, under this light, this is coming off as a blue. That's simply due to the fact that we're looking at, as I said, through two screens. But if you actually look at the colour of the armour, the style of the armour, and where it's shaded differently, most certainly they've got the armour absolutely spot on, 100%. I would just say there's some minor issues with the hair on this head sculpt, but we'll continue with that head sculpt. Let's have a closer look at it. Apart from that hair issue, I think they've done really, really well here. I love the expression they've gone for, that stoic look. The skin texturing is really, really nice, and the paint applications are absolutely spot on. There are crow's feet in the corner of the eyes there. There's a slight furrowing in the eyebrows. The eyes are the right colour and really nice and glassy. Just overall, it's a very, very good head sculpt. I think let down by perhaps a little bit by the hair and the beard, but overall, yeah, absolutely, that's Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto from part 1 of Dune. So there you have it. That is Duke Leto himself. We'll pop him back on the stand there, and we're going for final thoughts on this guy. We'll get him spinning again, yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, this one. I think like the gurney figure, and he's wanting to lean back there. Let's just alter this crotch grab. This was another thing I noticed with because with this stand, and I noticed this with the gurney figure as well. The figures just want to lean back into the crotch grabber. It doesn't matter how well you lean them forward. Because of, I don't know whether this is down to this base not being even. But you can probably see there's a slight lean backwards, and I had this with, as I say, with the gurney figure. But yeah, maybe another little minor gripe there on my part. I think it's probably down to actually raising that crotch grabber, and you can see here it's a futz. Getting those feet into that into those and then getting into stand upright can be a little problematic. We'll settle for that for the time being. But yeah. So, final thoughts on this guy. Well, I think the screen accuracy, particularly around the House Atreides armor, is absolutely on point. The paint applications are great. The scaling is right. The materials they've used, the weathering that they've done, absolutely on point. And I can't fault it. Proportions absolutely on point. This base, apart from that minor niggle about the feet, where the feet are positioned, is great. It's nice to see a display base like this. I think really the only thing that lets it down is the sculpting of the hair and beard and the paint applications on the hair and beard. The head sculpt itself, to me, the rest of it, taking that into account, is absolutely spot on. It's just those minor niggles around, as I say, that that clumping, if that's a word, of the hair and the beard, and the lack of grey and white in there. But overall, I think Aug Toys have done a spectacular job. I think they did a spectacular job with the gurney, and I'm looking forward to seeing the still suit version of Paul that they've got in the pipeline. So yeah, there you have it. That is Duke Leto in all his glory, courtesy of Aug Toys. So, do you have this figure in your collection? What do you think? Am I getting this wrong? Is there nothing wrong with that? Please drop a comment in the comment section below. Even if you don't have this figure, tell me what you think. I'd be fascinated to hear your opinion. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is, before we move on, let's talk about what's coming up on the channel. Where will we be without a coming next section? I shall just grab my list because there is way too much stuff to remember off the top of my head here. So what have we got on its way to as well? There is the Hot Toys Deadpool exclusive edition from Deadpool and Wolverine. And Ladypool as well. She's on her way to us. We've got Caustic Plastics Horror of Dracula exclusive double pack. Fingers crossed that should be arriving sometime soon. Toys Battalion Legendary Merchant, aka Tom Hardy from Taboo. We've got the Susu Toys Blade 3 figure. That's Wesley Snipes. The Blitzway Astro Boy version 2.0. A shed load of present toys stuff. I really won't go into that list. That is as long as your arm. We've got quarter scale stuff on the Dune theme. We've got the Prime 1 and Blitzway. Quarter scale Paul Atreides still suit statue. Try saying that after a pint. That should be with us relatively soon. So yeah, a vast amount of things on the horizon. So, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so you're not missing anything that's coming up on the channel. And I suppose that about wraps it up. So all it remains for me to say is from Duke Leto, aka Oscar Isaacs, thank you for watching, and from me, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.